Does it give us a countdown or something?
No, we're on now. We're on now. Greetings, guys. Welcome to the channel Fun and Opinions. My guest, Rob Yago here. He was a former wrestler. He used to wrestle as Bob Bronson, Rob Minion. He's had a whole fair share of different names. And me, of course, I guess I'll introduce myself if you don't know who I am. I am Robbie Cook, son of the legend Bob Cook, current TWA heavyweight champion. I've been around a block, in the wrestling world. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, hard to believe. So, yeah, we're going to discuss this Raja Jackson and Syko Stu situation. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, everybody in the wrestling world, or I think everybody in the world in general, is talking about this situation. So,
fuck them both. Yeah. There. That's the end of the show.
Yeah, it'd be the shortest show ever. Fuck them both.
So should I quantify that, or do you want to start talking about it, or?
Here, I'll go ahead and say I think it was at Rikishi's training camp in California,
right.
Knox Pro, and I don't know if you've seen all the videos because the Raja Jackson guy, he was streaming the whole event, like behind the scenes, like whatever, him talking to, I think the one guy's name is AJ Mana, I think, or something like that. I think one of the Samoan guys there, though, in the video, he's
Reno Anoya, and that he wrestles as a Black Pearl down there. That's Rikishi's cousin.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking he was Samu or something like that.
I had heard that it was Samu at first too, and I watched the footage, and I was like, I don't know if that's Samu actually, but it's been years and years since I've seen Samu, so I'm like, yeah, people get old maybe, but it's not. But no disrespect to any of the Samoans, but let's be honest, there's so many of them that who can keep them straight?
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you on that, but yeah, I just seen a comment. Someone said it was Samu or something like that, and I'm like, wow, I haven't seen him in a minute, but I guess age catches up with all of us and shit. So, but yeah,
got me.
I mean, I need to start dyeing my beard, I guess, perhaps, but got the grays and stuff showing in the beard, man.
So here's the thing about this whole situation. If we're gonna dive right in,
yeah, go ahead.
And all of the 10 people that are going to listen to us today, half of them we probably know, and half of them will go, man, fucking Diego's out of his fucking mind. This, that, and the other thing. Who knows? But here's the thing. For one, not to shit on anybody else, but I'm going to let my ego come out. For all the marks out there, yes, I'm smarter than you. Yes, I know more than you. So shut the fuck up. And in addition to that, I have no life. I'm sitting here. I'm a fucking cripple. I don't work no more. Collect fucking disability. I got a bad back, and I have nothing but time on my hands and very little to do. So while your average internet mark, or even the other boys or whoever, anybody that has an opinion on this, including like the guys like Stevie Richards and JBL and Rob Van Dam has one of the best takes on it so far, frankly. But including him, even they have time to maybe get on there, watch some of this shit, and move on. I've seen the entire fucking multiple hour podcast that the kid did, that the Raja Jackson kid did, and I've watched it multiple times because I have nothing better to do. And here's the thing. Is the kid an idiot? Yeah, he's an idiot. He clearly doesn't understand the business, and he's a fucking mark. Does he understand to some degree that it's fake, quote unquote? And I hate that word. We all hate that word.
Yeah, I hate that word too.
I hate that word, whatever. But that's his opinion of it. But there is footage early on in the night after he gets hit with the beer can with fucking Reno Anoy in the dressing room trying to make peace between the two of them. And he flat out tells him, hey, you know what's good about this? I can make something into this now. How about you get in the ring and you fuck that motherfucker up? How about that? And then you hear Raja say, yeah, if you can make that happen, I'll be cool. If you can make that happen, I'll be cool. So like right then and there, people could say what they want to say. Oh, well, he was promised a receipt. He was promised this. He was promised that. He doesn't know what a receipt is.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
If he does kind of know what a receipt is, or if they kind of smartened him up, they didn't do a good enough job of it. And all he knows is what he was told, and it's on fucking videotape of him being told by either the promoter or the guy running the dressing room, however you want to look at it. Go. A fucking kid in here bothering me. Get the fuck out of here. But regardless of what Reno's place is in that company, he's Rikishi's cousin. So Rikishi obviously wasn't there. So he's probably in charge of the dressing room, or maybe he has a hand in it, whatever. But he is on tape not telling him, hey, listen, sorry about that. Do you want to get in the ring and get a receipt? A receipt means you can get in there. Maybe you pop him one time, give him a nice hard shot, and you know, you fucking settle it in the ring. That's not what he said. And if anybody doubts me, watch the fucking tape. The exact words were, get in there and fuck that motherfucker up. This is the end of the case for me. All respect to Stevie Richards or anybody else that has an opinion that, oh, he should have known better. It's a work. It's this. He's not smart to the business, and he was told that he could get in there and fuck that motherfucker up. I don't know about you, but that's pretty clear to me. If somebody says, hey, man, you're hot at this guy, you're steamed, let's do this. Well, you can get in there and you can fuck that motherfucker up. To me, that means I can fuck him up. Now, he was also told at different times that the boys would be called out and they would pull him off when he's had enough and this, that, and the other thing. And I can't remember the exact quote on that because to me, it's a little bit less relevant. But if you take a kid like this that has no understanding of the business, he's not in the business, he doesn't understand the politics of the business, he doesn't understand any of that shit.
The lingo, nothing.
Yes, he doesn't understand the lingo. He's got AJ Mana with a cowboy hat, who is his friend. That's the same guy that's that Andre on the phone afterwards saying, and I quote, so nobody gets hot at me. They can't wake this nigga up. He's flatlining, bro. Same guy. That's the same guy that's in the cowboy hat.
Which I heard he lost his job and stuff. So
I've got comments on that too. I'll go ahead and give you a preview.
All right, we can get to that too.
I'll give you a preview. I think it's fucking bullshit. But anyway, back to the matter at hand. You tell this Raja kid all of this stuff that the boys will break it up. Well, now he's got a safety net. Now in his mind, he gets to go out there. Okay, they told me I could fuck him up. And they said the boys will break it up when it's enough. So that means he no longer has to think for himself. That means that he has just been giving a license to go out there, beat his ass, and in his mind, okay, well, they're not going to let this go very far, so I'm just going to go until they stop. These guys are professionals. These guys know their business. They know when their boys had enough, so they'll stop me when it's time. I mean, when you put all these two things together, I'm not saying for a second that the kid is smart. Maybe in a normal person's mind, after the first couple shots, he should look down and go, you know, I'm having a change of heart. I think this fucker's had enough. But he didn't. And realistically, why should he? Let's say you've got an enemy, or I've got an enemy, or anybody, pretty much anybody who would ever listen to this podcast can identify with this comment to some degree. There is somebody in this world that you don't fucking like. And I don't care if you get along with literally everybody. There is somebody out there from your childhood, from your past, an ex-fucking girlfriend, an old friend that cheated on your girl, you know, whatever. There's somebody in your life where you could say, yeah, I kind of hate that motherfucker. And if you were told, hey, check this out. This is a special environment. This is a special business where the boys police themselves and you could do whatever you want. And we're giving you free license to get what you want to get. And we'll stop it when it's enough. What would you do? Now, in your case, I know you don't really hate anybody, but you could think hard enough at some point in your life.
If I think hard enough, I could probably try to think of somebody, but I don't really, you know,
Right.
It's one of those things where I couldn't, you know, obviously pop off of my head with anybody like that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, I definitely get where you're coming from on that. You know, like
even that, there would probably
had
be
a
a
license.
time.
He essentially had a license to do what he wanted to do, and put that trust, and maybe they would break it up, you know,
Right.
and then
Right.
and then would not. But here's another thing though, is I don't know if Raja and the Stu guy communicated in any way prior to the assault.
Agreed.
Was he going to come in? Because one of my things is when he came in and give him that double leg,
Yep.
Stu, but I would probably be guilty of the same thing. Is if I'm doing a match and someone's running in, I'm assuming it's another I'm assuming it's another worker. If he picks me up with a move, okay, cool. I know how to take a bump. I know how to handle the situation, and I would just go with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's the thing I'm curious to where if he knew ahead of time that Raja was going to come in, or is it just a thing of, hey, they hyped him up, he ran in, he did the thing, because when he picks him up, Stu kind of like grabs him and goes, okay, you figured he kind of knew that he was going to come in and at least take a move, take a move from this kid, you know what I'm saying? So,
right. So
it could also be instinct. Like I said, it could also just be a wrestling instinct to where if I was working you, and another dude from the came in and just picked me up, and I'm blind without my glasses anyway, man. I would just assume the process of, okay, another worker's coming in. They caught an audible here. I'm getting beat up after the match or whatever the situation is. I'm just going with the flow,
Right.
But that's my thing there is, but
So there's an easy answer for that too. When the dude Reno is talking to Raja in that clip, and again, I don't know what was said off camera, but we do know what was said on camera, and that's clear enough. When he's on camera talking to Reno about fucking that motherfucker up, they're standing right there in the back parking lot, and Stu is literally 2 feet to the right. Stu is sitting there putting his boots on while they're having that conversation. And then Reno turns around and says, did you get all that? He says, he's going to run in on your shit. And he goes, all right, yeah, that'll be good business. This is all going to work out. That'll be good business. And they shake hands. Now, I think what may have gone here is that they're coming from two different places of mind. The boys are coming from a place where, okay, cool. I'm going to fuck him up. He's going to get a couple shots and that'll be the end of it. But that's not where Raja is coming from. And why should it be? Because he's not a worker. And the words used were, fuck that motherfucker up. Not, hey, listen, you could tag him once. Go ahead. Pop him as hard as you can one time, but that's it. Had that been said, he would be at fault. But that wasn't said. They told him he could fuck him up. Now, I'll go a little bit further. So in the footage that Raja recorded, you could see what you can see. And you hear him conversating, and you hear him arguing with his chat and all that. Go, yeah, I know wrestling's fake, but I'm gonna fuck that motherfucker up for real. They told me I could hit him for real, and this, that, and the other. And there's people out there making a big deal about that. See, he knew wrestling was fake. Well, yeah, he knows what wrestling is supposed to be, but he also knows what he was told. And that's what he's gonna base it off of. Now, to answer your question, whether Stu really knew or what he fully understood, there is a different angle that actually Mike sent to me. There's a different camera angle of some kid recording at the other side of the ring. And not only did Stu know that it was coming, Stu gave the Iggy. You see that referee dressed in the pink jacket running around the ring yelling? Reminds me of Joe Cool, in fact. But he's running around the ring yelling. He gets on the apron. Stu looks at him and he points and he says, go tell him. And then the referee goes to the apron and yells at Raja, you get in here. And then he comes in and does the spot. So not only was Stu aware of it, he called it. He flat out called that spot and knew it was coming.
I didn't see that angle or anything like that.
Yeah, I can send it to you, but 100%
leading up to the events prior to all this stuff, I just seen the clips of the behind the scenes thing. I seen the Raja talk about whatever. I seen Raja say, "Hey, I'm going to go off script" or whatever he said, and fuck him up. You know what I'm saying? So that's the part I seen. I didn't see it. Know there was another camera angle on the thing. So but in that case, I'm kind of assuming that maybe Stu knew to an extent
Agreed.
He was coming in, taking a move. He's gonna pop me, boom, 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 and the boys will rip it off. But
Yep.
I would say if anybody's necessarily super guilty on this aspect is if you're gonna have someone who is not coming from a wrestling world, you should properly explain that shit. Because like for example, I wrestle all the time, kind of, but if me and you were doing a thing, me and you can casually talk and just go, hey man, at the end, so and so is gonna come in and fuck me up at the end of the match, and that's it, So, and I would know you. I would know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you can say, hey, Michael Patrick's coming in at the end of our match, and he's gonna fuck me up and whatever. Okay, cool. I get it. Like whatever,
Right.
I would know what you're talking about. But from an outside, point of view, the guy's coming from an MMA world, doesn't know, it's whatever. He gets in, like you said, he has a license to do,
He has been told to fuck him up.
And right or wrong, it's not the right thing to do, obviously. But I feel someone should have fully smartened him up about the process. Like, I don't understand where the promoter was coming from, or I don't know how things came to be of how he got there in the first place. But you think someone would have smartened him up to the aspect of going, hey man, whatever, But apparently, I guess it wasn't happened, and it is what it is. But I also do believe that after Raja came in and did his shit, he might have just when you're in that moment, when you're in that like fight moment, you don't think about shit. You just go and you got that adrenaline going. You're in the ring. You're doing your shit, man.
Right.
He's not used to being in the situation that he's in, and he's trusting other people to look out for him, But like I said, I'm not condoning what he did at all, like in any way, shape, or form, or how the situation was handled. You know what I'm saying?
So, what I'll say to that is, I'm not condoning it per se, but at the same time, what can you really say? First things first, kind of back to what you were saying. First things first, not only should have they smartened him up, they never should have involved a guy like that. Never fucking should have been brought into the dressing room. He doesn't have the maturity. Am I still on this thing?
Yeah, Hello? You're good. You're good.
Okay,
you're here.
It got quiet, and I'm like, oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
But anyway, never should have involved him. Never should have brought him in the back. What the fuck was Stu thinking? Okay, listen. He claims he thought he was a worker or this, that, and the other thing. Of all the dressing rooms that you have ever fucking been in, have you ever seen one of the boys just walk up and fuck somebody, whack him in the head with a can just to be fucking around? I mean, like, I'll tell you straight up. We all know I'm a big guy and I could handle myself, but like, I was a jokester. I'd rather throw jokes, not punches. But if some young boy in the dressing room who didn't know me just said, "Hey, I heard you're a worker, are you?" And I go, "Yeah, that's right," and he just thumped me in the can, I'd have beat the fucking shit out of him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah,
room. And I am a worker.
Like, I've never been I've been in countless locker rooms over the years, and I've never, just would walk up to someone and go, "Hey, man," but boom, you're a worker, like whatever. It's like, where's the thought process in that? Even though a camera's on or not, if I'm in the locker room and the camera's on, me personally, I'm leaving, man. I don't want to be on camera and shit shown getting ready for my match and everything like that. You know what I'm saying?
Even if kayfabe's dead, you're still blowing kayfabe. And like me and Mike talked about it a little bit, and I've talked about it to a couple of different people. Like, we all know that in the dressing room, sometimes ribs get played. Could I foresee a rib being played where somebody smacks somebody in the head with a can? Yeah, I could foresee that, but it's going to be with a friend. It's going to be with somebody that is cool. Like, straight up. I used to rib dudes at the dressing room. I'd walk up and I'd go, "Hey, you ever wonder what it's like to suck a trainee's cock?" I mean, yeah, that was me. There would be ribs where somebody'd be in the shower and you go in there and you flick him in the balls from behind or something like that. Yes, that shit happens. But like, just to smack somebody in the can who you've never met in your life.
Yeah.
I will tell you why it happened, and it's very simple. The boy
said, I believe it was the work.
Well, yeah, but they said it themselves in that footage. They said, "Oh, we're sorry about that, but we're workers. We're always working." They saw the camera. They
Yeah.
saw, "Oh, I'm not sure who that is," and then somebody probably said, "That's Rampage Jackson's kid. Rampage's kid. I'm going to go get the rub." And that's what Stu was doing. He thought he'd try to make a name for himself, and by God, people can say what they want. He did.
Yeah, he made a name.
I promise you this. People are going to get pissed off by this, but right now, more people in the United States know who fucking Psycho Stu is than they do fucking Kenny Omega or Will Ospreay. 100% more average people know who fucking Psycho Stu is right now than anybody in AEW. So the guy fucking, I guess he worked it all the way to the bank. But point is, that's what he was thinking. And that's what the fucking Reno did. Rikishi's cousin. That's what he was thinking too. He's like, okay. Let's get a little publicity. Let's get the kid in the ring. And nobody actually thought and put themselves in the situation and said, well, wait a minute now. This kid ain't smart to the business. This kid's actually hot for real. Allegedly. Now, I'm open to the idea that the whole thing's a fucking work that just went out of hand. I'm still open to that. But
it's not out of the realm of possibilities that it was a work.
Yeah.
But definitely got out of hand. You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely think he got cracked. I definitely think for whatever reason, Stu did the can thing, and when you said, "Oh, the workers are always on" or whatever, that the camera's on, blah 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 blah. I to a degree get that. Okay, being in the locker rooms and stuff, but I'm also knowing ahead of time. I'm assuming they probably knew ahead of time there's gonna be a camera there, and they figured we'll take advantage of the situation or whatever. I definitely think that it was a work for the most part, and shit got out of hand real fast, real quick. And I don't think I think at the time, everybody in that locker room who was a part of it, all they thought of was, "Hey, that's Rampage's kid. He's here. We could turn it into something." You know what I'm saying? And then it turned into, hey, this will get us some views. This will get us whatever. And then he wasn't obviously smartened up, about anything, But, I think it's just one of those things to where a lot of things went wrong.
Yes.
And it didn't need to happen, and it shouldn't have been. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. It's one of those things to where if you're going to have someone like that coming in, you want to smarten them up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you got to make sure they're real smart, not just like you don't take 2 seconds and say, "Hey, this is a receipt. You remember what that is? Yeah, go in and do this." Like he has to be a fan, and he wasn't. Like he's flat out said that he like in that wrestling shit. So not only is he not a fan, he's kind of adversarial towards the business.
Yeah, yeah.
So now you've just got a recipe for a problem.
And in my eyes, as soon as if you're a promoter, if you're whatever, and this guy's opinion on wrestling and whatever like that, and you obviously know that he's not going to play, games when it comes to that kind of shit. That shit, they should have just pulled that shit anyway. They should have just go, "Hey man, well,
you separate them in the back.
You can come in and run your mouth or whatever like that." But those should have been signs right there to not have him get in the ring in any way, shape, or form or do anything like that. If you're not going to take the time to smarten him up, or maybe they thought for whatever process of smartening him up, maybe he just wasn't capable of being smartened up, and he didn't care enough to listen to what they were, offering to say about smartening them up. You know what I'm saying? You can have conversations with people all the time, and you can give your point of view, but that person has to care and take the time to listen and respect your point of view of being in that situation. Raja was clearly pissed, was whatever the situation is, and probably just honestly didn't care.
And see, that's another thing about the topic that it's another thing about this story that kind of pisses me off, because pretty much everybody has said, and the Stevie Richards, the JBLs, pretty much everybody has said, it would have been different if Raja just would have acted in that moment. As soon as he got hit with the beer can, everybody says this. If he just would have knocked him and dove on him right then and beat the shit out of him, it would have been different. It would have been more justified. And then everybody will say, but he didn't. He waited till he got in the ring, and then he did this and this. But here's what they're not seeing. He wanted to. He wanted that ass right there in the dressing room, and the boys separated it. Like, he was ready. He was ready to whip that ass in the back lot. And then, like I said, his boy AJ got in the way. And Rikishi's cousin got in the way, and they separated him. And Rikishi's cousin kept on saying, nah, Oos, we're cool. And Raja kept saying, nah, man, fuck that dude. I'm going to whoop his fucking ass. Fuck that dude. And that's when Rikishi's cousin said, you know what? I can make something with this. You get in the ring, and you interfere in his match, and you fuck that motherfucker up. And that's when Raja said, hey, man, you can tell me that? You can promise that? Hey, if you could do that for me, I'll be good. And that's when he reached over and shook his hand. He didn't reach over and shake his hand to squash the heat. He reached over to say, hey, it'll be done after we settle this in the ring and there'll be no hard feelings. That's what the handshake was about. Now, I'll add to this, and you know this, and there are very few people in the wrestling business, including guys like, well, maybe JBL to some degree and some of those guys, but like there's very few people that can say what I can say, because in 2011 in Punta Gorda, Florida at the Memorial Auditorium, I worked with Seth Petrozelli, and we all remember that. And here's the thing that I will tell you. Seth was a wrestling fan, and he was cool as shit, and he was willing to do anything that I wanted to do. But now let me add that this is what the fans don't understand. This is what maybe some of the boys don't understand. The reality is Seth and I had a very real conversation, and he was cool, and he was friendly, and he was excited to be a part of it, and he was willing to do anything I asked. But this is like a week or two after he knocked out Kimbo Slice in 16 seconds. Yeah. He was riding a wave of momentum. At that point, he had received offers from UFC. He was doing TV interviews. He was at the peak of his MMA career. And he flat out told me, he says, brother, I'm excited. This will be fun. I'm willing to do whatever you want to do. But I just came off of the win of my life, and I am riding a wave of momentum, and I can't be a joke. So whatever I do in that ring, it's gotta be real. He fucking said that shit to me, and I knew, okay, I am endeavoring into this situation, and if I offer to throw hands with Seth Petrozelli, he's gonna hit me.
Yeah.
If like there was no misunderstanding. Because originally that was my idea, because I've got a good punch. So I'm like, I throw with Seth Petrozelli, he ducks, he cracks me in the jaw, I sell it, and I go out. I thought that was going to be where we were going to take it at first. But then when he told me that, I'm like, okay, well, I might fancy myself a little bit of a brawler a little bit in real life.
You didn't want to take that punch.
Yeah. I don't
blame you. And I don't blame you at all.
I didn't want to get fucking my dental work rocked or any shit like that.
No.
He told me straight up, he's like, protect yourself. So I could have put my hands up. I could have blocked. I could have done this. I could have done that. But I had the sense at 27 years old at the time, I think I had the sense that like, okay, I see where this could go off the rails because I am a worker and he is not. And he is coming from a different perspective, and he has to protect his name. He has to protect his business. He can't be seen as a joke. So I changed it. I said, okay, well then let's not do that. I said, can we do this? I said, I'll throw a wild punch. You duck, you go right behind, you put me in the rear naked choke, and then whatever happens, happens. And he goes, oh, that's perfect, brother. I love it. And that's what we did. And if you want to ask Jay, you can ask Jay. And if you want to ask Rick, if you want to go talk to Rick, Rick will tell you too.
I was there for that whole situation. So yeah,
I know you were there. I don't remember if you were there for the conversation, but I know you were there for the show. But I went to Rick.
I was there for the conversation because Jay told me he was trying to rally Seth up to have him choke you out for real.
Oh well, fucking A. I know Rick said that. I know Rick wanted to do that, but Rick told me flat out, he's like, this guy's a different kind of guy. He's like, you don't want to do that. Everybody told me. He's like, they're like, you don't want to do this. He's for real. You don't want to do this. You're going to get hurt. And I said, Rick, I'll take my chances because I could get a big rub from this. And Jay, because Jay and I are even closer, Jay told me the same. He's like, Robert, I don't know. He's got a different thinking. He's not a wrestler. This guy's got to protect his business. He's like, I think this is a bad idea. And maybe they tried to rile him up to teach me a lesson that maybe I shouldn't get involved in this stuff. Maybe that's what they were thinking too. Now, in my case, everything was fine. I went in there. He did the choke. Now, to this day, I don't know if he let me go simply because he chose not to choke me out, Or because what I ended up doing was the second he got behind me and squeezed, I went limp. I just totally went limp and I sold it. So maybe he actually thought I was out and that's why he let me go. But whatever the case is, I didn't get put out. Whether I sold it so well that he let me go or just he chose not to. Now, I'm not going to try to pretend to be a tough guy. Last thing I said to him when I dropped the mic down to my side is I said, hey, please don't hurt me. And I chuckled. So like, maybe that had an influence. I don't know. But the only reason I tell that story, it's not to put myself over or anything like that. We saw what happened to my career. I fucking fucked my back up and I didn't do shit in wrestling. So, you know, it is what it is. But my point is I had the experience of working with one of these guys and flat out, he made no misunderstandings that his business needed to be kept real. And so I knew. And my point of saying all that is Stu should have fucking known. I knew. I fucking knew what I was getting myself into, and I had no guarantee what Seth was going to do. What if Seth would have squeezed the shit out of me, expected somebody to break it up and held too long, and I ended up in the ER? What if that would have happened? Very well could have happened.
It could have happened for sure.
Or what if he would have just changed his mind and got hyped up in the moment and thrown one unprotected punch and cracked me in the mouth? He knocked Kimbo out with 2 or 3 punches. What, he couldn't knock me out with one? So any of those things could have happened. And if I'd have been put in the hospital, I'll tell you right now what I would have said. I would have said, well, I got fucked up, but you know what? I got the rub. Cool. And here's the funny thing. I'll say this for old Stu. His wife has made comments. His brother's made comments. The promotion's made comments. Everybody's made a comment except Stu. And if Stu is truly a worker, he's a shit worker, and I'll get into that. But if he's truly a worker, then he is sitting in his hospital bed right now going, holy fucking shit. My GoFundMe is at 200,000 and climbing. Rampage probably just offered me a 6-figure check. I'm going to become a millionaire off of this deal. And that is more money than he ever would have made in wrestling if he would have wrestled 100 years, because he is just a shit show fucking wrestler. And now he is a household name everywhere in the country. It is the best thing that ever fucking happened to him. And if anybody disagrees, look at his face in the hospital. There are marks arguing with me going, oh, he's got a broken jaw and he lost all of his teeth and this, that, and the other thing. Well, the goddamn lack of bruises and shit on the face don't show it. And then they try to get smart with me and they go, well, it would all be under the beard, dumbass. Dude, my wife's a fucking nurse. Do any of you people know what the fuck you're talking about? If you have a broken fucking jaw, there's a thing called radiated bruising and radiated swelling. His entire fucking head is going to look like a melon. My mom had a bad tooth about 2 or 3 months ago. Her tooth was so fucking swollen, the entire side of her face looked like she took a 2x4 to the head from a tooth infection. So you're telling me if the guy had 5 or 6 teeth cracked in half with the roots exposed and everything else, that he's not going to have a swollen face? That if he's got a broken jaw, he's not going to have a swollen jaw? And furthermore, if his jaw was completely fucking broken and shattered and had to be wired shut, they're going to have to shave that fucking beard to perform surgery.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are you people thinking? Now, I'm not saying that he didn't get put to sleep. And I'm not saying that he maybe didn't get a tooth or 2 loosened up or knocked out. And I'm not even saying that maybe he doesn't have a hairline fracture somewhere in his jaw. But I'm saying that people that want to claim that he tried to beat him to death, there's no fucking way that that kid actually tried to murder him. Because if he tried, he'd be fucking dead. If he really wanted his ass, he would have hit him right in the eye socket 20 times. He'd have broke his fucking nose. He like that guy would be unrecognizable. And that's not what we see. That's not what we see. So did he get out of hand? Did he crack him too many times? This, and this? Clearly. Did he pull some of those punches? Well, I don't know. You go back and you watch him in slow motion. You go into the YouTube settings and you set the video, you zoom it in, and you set it down to 25% speed. I'll say this, he only landed about 11 or 12 shots. And of those, maybe only 6 or 7 were power shots. And I'm not saying that that's good. Yeah, let me say that. I'm not saying that that's not good either. But it's not 27 shots like some people are saying. He missed most. He missed most of them. So, you just got to take the thing. It was bad enough as it was. The whole thing was a clusterfuck as it was. There's no need to lie about it and make it worse and say, oh, he hit him. He tried to murder him and this, that, and the other. And now I'll bring up the point that I made earlier. No offense to Stu. He's fucking set for life after this. So good on him. But The dude's the shits. I went down a rabbit hole, and I should probably send you the links because I sent some to Mike and I sent some to Dad, and I say Dad, I mean your dad, but what can I say? But
I've never seen any of Stu's stuff ever, so I
he's
have
the
no
just
room.
he
I have no room to comment on.
you will, and we can talk about it in the future. No offense. And there's internet marks that may hear this and they'll go, oh, well, what the fuck were you? I wasn't fucking nobody, all right? But I could fucking work. I just didn't have the sense on how to get myself over and get to the next level. But I could work. I could throw a punch. I could take a bump. I had an understanding of the business. And over the years, I used to be a little self-conscious of the fact that I never amounted to what I could have. But you know what? I have friends that did. And I have friends that know what a good worker is. And I'm regarded as a good worker amongst my friends and the boys that know what good work is. So I don't question it anymore. I was halfway decent. I was a halfway decent worker. And I will say this. He is the drizzling shits. He worked for this company, I think out in California called Valor Pro. It is garbage bag wrestling to its fullest. These guys can't bump. They can't punch. They have no psychology, nothing. I mean, nothing. No concept whatsoever. I showed your dad and I showed Mike, and it's he throws some mounted punches on this kid. Some of the, by God, worst fucking shit I have ever seen. And I have seen bad punches in this day and age, but they are some of the worst shits I have ever seen. And you know what? People would judge me for this. And I was half joking, I admit it. But as soon as I seen that, I'm like, oh my God, I wish Raja would have beat him to death and spared the business from this fucking untrained mark. You know, that's what I thought. I'm like, oh my God, he deserved every beating he got. The boys should have beat him right out of the business. So yes, and that's another conversation I've got to get into. This is what bothers me about this whole thing. And this is why I fault Stu more than anybody. The fact that he started this shit with that can and it resulted in all this, he has officially destroyed the business the rest of the way. We all know that the business is 99.9% dead. The big companies are corporate. Everything is, nothing's like it used to be. There's no kayfabe left anymore. Okay, I got people fucking talking to me. But the business is like, it's not what it used to be. But this is the final nail in the coffin, I think. I think the business is dead because of this, and I'll tell you why. Because since this issue, the fans now have an opinion, and the fans are trying to get involved. And they're saying, well, I don't understand this, and this, that, and the other thing. That, like we talked about earlier, you brought it up, that AJ Mana lost his real job. Like he got all his bookings canceled, and he lost his shoot job.
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the fuck? Like the dude didn't do anything that nobody else did. Did he rile Raja up a little bit? Yeah. But he told him to go in there and get a receipt. Like this is what every fucking worker does. I mean, do these fans know how we talk in private?
I don't know. I don't believe most of the fans don't know. They don't know the lingo, or maybe they think they know the lingo.
I've got a news flash for any fans out there that might be listening. We fucking revile you. You're all marks to us. You fucking sit in the stands, and if you're cool and you stay in your lane and you just enjoy the show, you're fine. We like you. You're great. But when you think you have an opinion, you don't fucking know shit. You're not in the business. You don't take bumps. You don't know fucking nothing. Keep your fucking mouth shut. And that's the problem. Now you've got all these fans, and now they're being brought into it, and now they're canceling people. I mean, they fucking want to cancel people. I'll shoot straight. I'll shoot some shit right now. Do you know how many fucking boys fuck around with 16, 17-year-old girls? They're called fucking rats, and they come to the shows, and we don't ask for no ID. We don't give a fuck. If they want to suck a cock after the match, we fucking let them. So, I mean, like, we drink, we drug, we smoke. It's whatever. We do all this shit. We're not good people. We're carnies. We're con men. We're grifters. We literally, to make money, we lie to people out in the ring and try to provide a form of entertainment. Like, but they think we're nice guys and that we're for social justice. Half of them are racist. Half of them are racist on the other side. I mean, it's like, this is not, I love the wrestling business, okay? But I'll tell you, it's seedy as shit. And that's what I love about it. I love that it's still the Wild West. I love that it's still sex, drugs, and rock and roll to some degree. Or it was during my time anyway. That's what I miss, and that's what they're killing. They've killed it. It is. I mean, from here on in, like there used to be, you used to have to get wrestling. You might still have to, but there used to be wrestling licenses in like Tennessee and certain states like that. I don't think
Kentucky, I
Tennessee
think,
actually.
and stuff like that.
Yeah, Kentucky,
I'm
not
not
Tennessee.
sure. I'm not sure about how that works.
Right. But now it may go back to that. They may require everybody to have licenses and testing and this, that, and they may require there to be medical. I mean, they may actually pass laws within the wrestling business now over this shit, which means it's the death of the business. It means that the business can no longer police itself. It means that the boys no longer have our brotherhood. We no longer have our own code of conduct. If we're offended, we no longer handle it our own way. It means we have to now rely on cops breaking up fights and everything else. And it's just fucking bullshit. And it's now the death of the wrestling business because fucking Psycho Stu, untrained fucking Mark wrestler, went in there and fucking didn't know what to do. And like I said before, from the word go, he should have known to protect himself. You kind of made a comment about that like, well, maybe he wasn't ready for the slam. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I learned this in my first fucking week. I was taking belly to back suplexes. And I got dumped on my head one time, and I'm like, oh, that wasn't fun. And then I watched footage of The Rock, of all people, because The Rock was never known for his ring psychology necessarily. But The Rock used to do one thing that was very, very smart. When he would go up for like a German suplex or a belly-to-back suplex, he would wave his arms in the air, and then as he was coming down, he would casually slip his hand behind his head and protect his head from bouncing off the mat.
Yeah, I would do that with certain moves. Like if I was taking multiple German suplexes and stuff, you know.
For me, probably.
Yeah, from you or from other people. I always had a habit of putting my hand behind my head just to try to protect myself a little bit from that's the spine busters or whatever like that. Because I've had my bell rung, you know, several times, just taking silly, stupid bumps and stuff as we do sometimes. But you know,
100%.
After getting my bell rung a couple times, I just go, yeah, this sucks.
This is the shit.
You know?
This is the shits. And Stu, supposedly the guy's been working since 2009. He's been working fucking 16 years. And you're going to tell me he's not smart enough to go, oh, this kid doesn't really know how to work. Oh, he's got me in a bad angle. He's going to, like, you could tell. You could tell from that footage because Stu starts to grab him around the waist because he's afraid he's going to lose him. He should have been, if he was a worker and he was trained, he should have known I had better get my fucking hand behind my head. And he wouldn't have got knocked out on the bump. He would have then been able to put his hands up and protect himself. And he would have said, get this fucker off me. And the boys would have pulled him off. And none of us would be talking about this. But instead, he's a fucking goof-trained wrestler. He got knocked the fuck out. Raja was told he could fuck him up. So he started to fuck him up. And the boys, because let's be honest, they're all untrained fucks, except for maybe the one guy that actually made the save. And they're all just looking at him going,
Doug Malo, I think was his name. I watched his view on it. It's did you watch his view on the whole thing?
I did. And if it's not a work, if what he's saying is true, I agree with him. I think that, Raja wanted to whip that ass and everything else. I mean, I think all that's true. But the point that I argue in Raja's defense, I don't think there's any, I think he wanted to fuck him up, but he was told he could fuck him up. So what do you want to say? It's like, you can't get mad at him for fucking him up when he was told to go in there and fuck him up. So what is there to say? I mean, you could argue. And that's what like I said, that's what guys like Stevie Richards are arguing, and God bless him. Stevie seems like he's a guy with a really good heart. I think he's a Christian guy. I mean, he's got a very high ethical code. So he's looking at it from the purpose of his ethics. He's looking at it from the perspective of what he would do. But he ain't a hardcore thug. Let's be honest. Fucking Raja Jackson's a thug, man. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying I don't know to what extent he's a thug, but my point is he's in that culture. He's in that fight culture, that thug culture. Don't fuck with me. That's who he is.
He's in that, homie, I don't play that shit realm of shit, And I mean, it's one of those things to where, like I said, I think there's numerous people to blame for the situation. I'm not putting the blame on just Stu himself. I'm not putting the blame on Raja himself. It's a situation that got way out of hand, way too fast. people, weren't smartened up to the business. People weren't whatever. And I think it became a thing where once they saw that Raja was invested and he wanted to do his thing, I just think everybody, sometimes, us wrestlers become victims of not looking at things from a logical standpoint. They just go, shit, this will get over, man. This will look good for the camera. This will draw people in. This will, get that hype that, we want, we'll bring people in, man. Or man, this will, people, tonight will think, man, this was, real shit tonight, So
100%, I agree.
I mean, and then,
I will add another tiny thought, and this is just a tiny thought, and it could be silliness, it could be not, but like, so the referee was standing right there as Stu got his face beat in. And as well as I do that in the wrestling business, a referee is basically just a mark wrestling fan who doesn't have the toughness or the ability to be a wrestler, but wants to be in the wrestling business in some way. And I'm not saying that to offend any of my wrestling fans, or not fans, but my wrestling friends out there, the Adams and the Frankies. I love you guys, but like, typically when somebody gets in the business as a referee, it's because they wish they could be a wrestler and they just, for whatever reason, can't be a wrestler. There's exceptions, like Nick Patrick. If Nick Patrick ever hears this, Nick was a great worker. He just happened to be a great referee, and for whatever reason, I've never asked him why, but for whatever reason, Nick decided to be a referee. But so there are exceptions, but for the most part, especially in the modern day, if somebody's a wrestler, it's because they are a wrestling fan that wishes they could be a wrestler. They can't, and they want to be involved in some way. And the only reason I say that is that kid in there that was the referee is just watching Raja unload on him. Now, as we were just talking about, Raja is not smart to the business. And in his business, the referee has a purpose. The referee is there to break that fight up when it goes too far.
Yeah.
Is it fair to maybe say that Raja is sitting there looking at the referee going, well, if the ref ain't going to do nothing, I guess I'm good to go. Maybe. Now, it's easy to also say that, well, you got to be pretty naive about that. But again, yeah, Raja's pretty naive. He's not a wrestler.
Yeah, he comes from that. He comes from the MMA world, to where the referees are real referees, and right. They'll come in there and they'll pull them off. They'll stop that shit. You know what I'm saying? To where I think it's a combination of that and two. I saw someone say, well, why isn't the referee just going to, try to fight him or try to get whatever? He's right there. It's also I think it just caught the referee off shock too. He probably was just like, what the hell is going on here? And then he probably was like, well, shit, I don't want to get involved in this crap, or just shocked by the whole process of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just caught in the moment of deer in the headlights of like, oh shit, like what can I do? What am I going to do? And then you just stand there, and it's one of those things you look back on going, well, maybe I should have got involved. Maybe I should have done this and I should have done that. You don't know how people are going to react in a situation when shit's going south. It's either you react one way of, holy shit, he's beating this dude up for real and I need to jump in, or holy shit, you freeze up and you don't, Like, and I seen someone was making a comment the other day on this whole situation. Is if you see a thug beating up an old lady across the street, do you go jump in? Well, of course you probably should go jump in, but if you're in that situation, you're either it's one of those automatic. It's one of those automatic brain movements to where you're going to immediately either jump in and do what you got to do, or two, you're going to stand there and watch in shock and not know what to do.
Agreed, and I'm going to add to that.
It's that's how I look at it. It's either you have that process of I'm running to help this old lady, or holy shit, you're caught in that moment of you just freeze up and you panic and you don't know what to do.
And in the Raja action,
it's easier for people to say, hey, he should have done this, he should have done that. Should he have? Yeah, absolutely, he probably should have. But you can't fault him for it. It's a human response of you either have that fight or flight or you freeze mentality of that's how it goes.
And I'll add to that because now I do believe you can be taught that reflex. I do believe you can learn that, and that separates a real professional wrestler who has been trained properly and has been taught to understand what to do. Like, you look at when that shit used to happen when a fan would jump in the ring. There's famous footage of, like, a fan jumping in on Steve Austin, and even though Triple H was the heel, he dove on that motherfucker.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Because they're properly trained, and they've been trained. In Triple H's case, he was trained by fucking Killer Kowalski, and I guarantee at some point in his training, Killer was like, now listen, sometimes fans get drunk and they get in the ring, and you got to handle it. You got to be ready. You can't be no deer in the headlights. None of those kids in that little school were trained that way.
No. And I also, and my thing too is obviously people who want to learn to be referees and come in referees for whatever reason because they can't work or whatever the situation is. I think it's one of those things too, to where the wrestling schools aren't necessarily taking their time to teach these referees other shit than, hey, get in there, count to 3. Here's your finish. Here's how to handle this. It's. I feel like a lot of the people just throw the referees in there, explain a couple shit, and then they go, all right, cool, you're trained. Start going. Now you're working shows, next week or whatever. There's no.
Yeah.
They don't take the time to teach them what they need to know and what they should know, as they would if you were learning how to be a wrestler.
Right. I think that's nowadays, especially.
And I think it's one of those things to where if you're learning to be a referee, you should learn the aspect of wrestling to a degree. Like if you want to be in the business that bad and your back is shot or whatever is stopping you from not being able to be a wrestler, but you want to be in the business and you go down the referee path, I feel like you should be treated and taught in a way to where, hey, if there's a situation that goes on, this is what you can do, this is what you should do, this is whatever, not just, hey man, here's your week training course on how to be a referee. Go out and learn yourself.
Right, and that's how it used to be. I've seen Charles Robinson.
If you're learning how to be a wrestler, you're learning how to wrestle for 6 months, a year, however long it takes you to where you're good enough to where you can go out there and have a match. I feel like schools take their time on wrestlers more than they do referees. Yeah. They just go, well, here's a week of training, here's whatever. Now you're thrown out into the wrestling indie world and go
get out there and count.
And
that's the thing. Like a guy like the old school guys and the guys that have been trained, like in WWE, I've seen Charles Robinson dive on fans and stop them.
Oh yeah.
Nick Patrick would beat the shit out of a fan if he got in the ring. And that's another conversation that needs to be brought up. And it was either talking to you or I was talking to Mike. I guess it was Mike. You and I haven't talked in a couple days.
Yeah, we haven't talked about
that. But like, why is it that within the business we all laugh when somebody gets a chance to beat the shit out of a fan? But like now this is a big insult. Let's be honest. You and I have both fucking seen wrestlers beat the living dog shit out of fans. I mean, beat fans worse than old Steve got beat. Fan jumps in the ring. I mean, fortunately, I never had to do it, but I remember one of those times we were working those shows at Schoolhouse Square. And there was that fucking drunk bitch.
I had a fan jump in there one time at that place. It was like slow motion for me. I seen the fan coming in, whatever. He was running his mouth all night. I told security, hey, I feel like he's going to try to jump in, at some point in someone's match. You know what I'm saying? And lo and behold, it was my match. And I don't even remember who I was working. I just remember the guy slid in. It was like slow motion. I just kicked him in the head. And then that settled the situation down, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And I was young and green, man. I was probably like 17 years old, 18 years old, working those shows.
You still had the instinct to defend yourself, and you defended yourself. Luckily for me, I never had to do it. I have had 4 different times in my time in wrestling where I came close, but I'm a little different than you in the fact that, like in my prime, I was jacked and I was 6'4" and I was 285. I was like fucking Brock Lesnar walking around the ring, or at least that was what I appeared to the fan.
Or that's how you felt. But my thing is like with that aspect is like, obviously, like I never had that mentality of like, man, I just want to hurt somebody and I hope someone jumps in the ring and like whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like I was like, if I'm being a heel, Like, yes, I want that heat. Yes, I want the crowd to hate me, but I don't have that process in my brain going, man, I hope one of these motherfuckers jump in the ring tonight so I can beat their ass. I never wanted to go. That was never my thought
And with that, I agree. But like, I know I know you probably know the story, remember it, or I've told it, or you were there, so maybe you saw it firsthand. But for anybody that never heard it, the closest I ever came to having to beat somebody's ass were at those shows in Schoolhouse Square, and a drunk bitch climbed on the side of the apron. She put one leg over the apron, and she had a bottle in her hand. And I fucking yelled at security. I said, "Get this bitch off the ring!" And he thought it was part of the show. And she waved the bottle at me, and I thought she was going to throw it. She didn't, but she waved the bottle, and she was going to come in. She was a fat, drunk bitch, and I yelled at security again. And I said, "Get this cunt off the fucking apron." And he still didn't do nothing. And she looked at me, and we locked eyes. And I'm like, she's coming in. And I told her I had my cowboy boots on. I was cutting a promo at the time. Go play. I'm on the phone. Goddamn kids. I'm going to fucking go Raja on you kids. Now I'm going to get fucking social services coming to my house. But anyway, I looked her dead in the eye and I said, if you get in this motherfucking ring, I am going to take the heel of my cowboy boot and I'm caving in your fucking cunt teeth. Get the fuck off the apron. And by that point, the security looked at me and he's like, you for real? And I'm like, yes, I'm for fucking real. Get her out of here. And he came and he got her off the apron, and that was the end of it. But I am telling you, and anybody else who happens to want to hear this right now, if she had climbed over that rope, I was going to take the heel of my snakeskin cowboy boot and I was going to kick her at 6'4" and 285 as hard as I fucking could in the teeth and the nose. And I was going to fuck that bitch up. And I have no shame and no remorse. And if people want to say I'm a psycho and this, that, and the other, well, fuck you too, because you don't fucking get in my ring. So there. If this is the wrestling business, any fan that wants to hear this and go, these wrestlers are fucking crazy. Are they all this way? Yes. Yes, we're all this way. Now, like you were saying, I had no interest in harming somebody. I'm not just going to pull somebody out of the crowd and beat the shit out of them. But if this bitch thinks she's going to get in my ring and potentially hit me with a bottle, I'll fucking kill her if I have to. It's as simple as that. I'm not getting hurt.
So your mindset is do unto them before they do unto you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let myself get hurt.
I think I would, my mindset in that process of like, I don't want to like obviously fuck anybody up, you know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't say I've been in that situation where like I had a woman trying to come fight me or whatever like that. Like,
in my mind, it didn't matter. It didn't matter who she was.
My brain, I would handle that totally differently. But it's
But you and me are also a little different in one regard, and I love you, and by no means
I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, well, there's that. There's definitely that. But like you are a generation after me, kind of about a half a generation after me.
Yeah.
And we were both taught by your dad, but the difference is he was like your dad. Like he was like your actual dad, and that means you live with him Monday through, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And even though I know that your dad knew his shit, you still disagree. You disagree about everything because he's your dad. So therefore you took your ideals about the wrestling business and you gravitated away a little bit. You gravitated a little bit toward, whereas me, your dad was my mentor. And so I took everything that he taught and everything about his generation, and I wanted to adopt it. And so from my thinking is the mere fact that this bitch has the audacity, the disrespect for me and for the wrestling business to try to get in this ring and get over on me, I'm going to teach this bitch a lesson. That is my mindset. Whereas I don't think in your mind, I don't think you're interested in teaching lessons. I think you're just interested in protecting yourself on whatever. And I'll be the first to admit, it's that too, but I'm going to teach her a lesson. I'm going to make sure she understands that, you don't get to fucking disrespect the wrestler. I'll fucking knock your teeth down your throat.
Yeah, that's my mindset is completely different than that. You know what I'm saying? But like my thing is looking out for myself. Yes, but like I have no interest in. I never had an interest in going. Oh, I'm gonna teach this person a lesson or like whatever like that. Like, dude, I just wanted to wrestle and have a good match and have, you know, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But yes, with my dad's situation is like, he truly loved and loves that way old, you know, style of stuff. Like from his era, he grew up in. That's what he loves. I kind of grew up in this ECW,
right?
Like I grew up in this ECW, FMW, like WCW, you know, cruiserweight, high flying stuff. To where that stuff visually caught my eye, than, you know, more so than like a Harley race guy doing his thing or whatever. And I'm not saying I hate that style or like whatever. I just always, I obviously my time period and what I was watching was the stuff that I was watching. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I kind of like had that mentality of I want to try to take from the new generation, but also watch the old generation in case I see stuff that I like. You know, I never, I don't know. I just had that love of like everything wrestling and more different styles.
It's just the age you grew up in.
No,
that's it.
It's, you know, like I, you know, love my, you know, Cactus Jack and Sabu and stuff like that. And I was heavily influenced by, you know, the stuff that they were doing at that time, you know, opposed to like maybe if I grew up in my dad's time period or, you know, around your time period or whatever like that, you know, and was watching that stuff religiously, maybe I would have been totally different. Maybe me and my dad would have had a better relationship wrestling wise or whatever like that. Like I kind of listened, I would listen to his ideas of stuff and I wouldn't like dismiss them, but like I have you know what I like, I have what I like and I have what I do. And I wanted to be, I don't know. I always felt like for me, I was always compared. I was different. I'm, you know, the son of my dad. People go, oh man, I should wrestle more like my dad. I should be, you know, dress like my dad, be more wrestle how he did. And I always had that mentality of I want to be everything different than what he was. Because I didn't want to be compared to him. I didn't want to be compared to anybody but myself, you know. And I always felt like I was living in that shadow of my dad, you know. Oh man, you know, your dad had a great punch, you know, and your dad had this and your dad had that. Well, I never, not known for always having a great punch, you know. I didn't, you know, always throw punches and crazy stuff. I kind of worked how I worked. I kind of would say, you know, this last couple, you know, years or so, I kind of started working the brawling style and the you know, punches and kicks and brawl. Yeah, but very heavy brawl style. You know, with a little bit of technical stuff. You know, when there's a time and need for that and whatever.
And that's kind of the irony is that you were his kid, and you know, I was just his, you know, adopted kid. If you want to look at it like that, but like everybody thought I was his kid because I worked like him. Yeah. So, you know, but speaking of your dad, even like I got to give your dad a little, you know, I got to kind of speak up for him a little bit because his mindset has changed. Like he's open to all this new age stuff now. I mean, whereas, and I don't know why that really is. You would think he would be a little more old and crotchety like I am, but like your dad is more accepting of modern wrestling. And I think that's just because he still wants to be involved in it. Whereas like for me personally, like, if wrestling isn't going to be what I love, I don't want to be involved in it. I still have the dream, you know, I have the dream someday that maybe I can get my back fixed and have a couple more matches with you and, you know, kind of write my career. I let me correct it. It ain't no fucking career. I didn't have no career. I call it my time in wrestling, but I can write my time in wrestling off, you know, the way I want to, you know, with a few last matches with my friend. I haven't wrestled in almost 9 fucking years. You know, because of my back. But, you know, maybe one day I can get it. It's coming. It's going to get fixed up soon. And it's either going to be worse or better. And we'll see. But I use this example, too, because you brought up Harley. Well, in Harley Race this time. And speaking of Harley, this goes back to like the Stu thing. Just for shits and giggles. What do you think Harley Race would have done if he walked into a dressing room and Stu said, "Hey, Harley," and he hit him in the head with a can? Harley Race would have beat him to fucking death in that dressing room. I mean, there's no question about it. Harley Race ain't taking no fucking can to the head.
I believe Harley always had that reputation of not taking shit from nobody. You know what I'm saying? You know, but like I said, I've never. But my thing is, I don't understand how the can thing came into play ever.
I think it was just stupidity. I
like
mean, I just think he
like
was
that's
stupid.
my thing. It's like I've been as many locker rooms and shit that ever been in, and am to this day. I can't recall a situation where another wrestler would walk up to another wrestler and then just hit him in the head with something out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Even as a rib or as like a whatever. You know, like I can't fathom walking up to another worker and then just hitting someone in the head with like anything. You know, because
Because
I
he's
put
a mark for
myself,
himself.
I always try to put myself in my shoes, as in like I wouldn't want someone to walk up to me and do that to me. So I'm not going to walk up and do this to someone else. You know, like I always, I'm just a chill dude, man. Like I treat people how they treat me kind of deal, you know, like, but I'm saying like, I don't know. I always think like, how would I feel if that was me? You know what I'm saying? So that's, you know, I don't know.
No, you're not wrong. And like I said, the whole thing was handled poorly, and I get it. I get it. Kayfabe's dead officially, or maybe not officially, but it's for all rights and purposes dead. But they never, like, as soon as they seen him in the dressing room with that camera, the boys should have got themselves over by saying, "Hey, who the fuck are you? Get the fuck out of here with that camera. You ain't gonna be back here with that camera." Oh, well,
Yeah,
I'm here. I'm
see,
here for such and such.
that would have been a way to handle it. But here's my thing with the kayfabe is dead. Kayfabe's either dead or it's not.
I agree.
Everybody knows kayfabe's dead? Okay, so what aspect of trying to make it real or what other situation where everybody already knows it's whatever. What that's not proving anything, you know, at this point in age. It's not
You're
whatever.
probably right. You're probably right.
It just gets people that aura of these wrestlers, this aura of man, this is what it must have been like back in the day with like, you know, whatever. And it gives them that, maybe it gives them that feeling of man, I'm a real worker. Like this is, you know, kayfabe. Yeah. You know, it's like, there's no need for it these days. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
But
I'll say this.
that's just the way
I'll
it
let you
is.
finish.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'll say this. I don't think kayfabe can be brought back in a large scale, but I do think it could be brought back. Like for the sake of argument, if I had a little money in my bank account and I wanted to run a show, I would demand kayfabe. And just like you said, that might be silly because nobody's believing it, but I would demand it on my shows. I would say, listen, no fucking marks in the back, no fucking cameras in the back. If your wife needs to get in the back, she better be telling you that, you know, your grandma's in the hospital or something. There don't need to be no wives in the back, you know, unless they're helping with the show or, you know, something like that. And that's how I would run the show. And like you said, you're right. I'm not fooling anybody, but maybe, just maybe on those small shows, the kind of fans that would want to come to that show maybe are the kind of fans that are a little more old school fans, and they'll appreciate the fact that everything is treated in a little more real atmosphere. Nobody's necessarily going to believe it, but basically we're pretending amongst ourselves that kayfabe is alive.
Yes and no, and that aspect of it is fine. But what I'm saying
But
is
then you have to honor
there's
it
no,
too. You
there's
can't
no,
play
but yeah, but
halfway.
I understand you got to honor it, but I'm saying in the aspect of if Raja's not a whatever, it's
You're
like
right. You're right.
why would you want to walk up to someone that you know
No,
is
yes.
not from your world, and then you want to just start shit, even if you're trying to, you know, play kayfabe or whatever the situation is, it's not going to work out well. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
100%.
like,
Well, we agree.
if you want to play kayfabe and Raja was in the locker room, then yeah, all the wrestlers should have just like, who the hell are you? Get the hell out. Or square up on him, not punch him, but get in his face and try to be intimidating or whatever the situation is. Not just walk up and hit someone in the head with shit.
Like, I agree. Like for sure. Like, you look at it like like kayfabe should have been adhered to, and they should have just seen that camera, and said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 who are you here with?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm here with AJ Manna, yada yada. I'm a guest." Okay, that's fine. You can come back, but you shut that fucking camera off. And the reason for that is a lot of reasons. Like in the old days, you couldn't come in with a camera. I mean, I know your dad did with a camcorder, but he was one of the boys and he was fucking around. Like everybody knew that was a different situation. You wouldn't let him mark in with the cameras. Well, why?
No, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
well, let's say Jody Hamilton's back there and he's got his mask off, and now all of a sudden everybody knows what he looks like. Let's say Mass Superstar is back there and he's got his mask off. Now everybody knows what he like. You can't be having that shit. So like there's a reason like to keep that shit out of the dressing room. Guy, like the fans aren't like in that scene in the back where Stu is trying to apologize and they shake hands. In the background, you could see 4 guys going over their tag team match, and they're going over the match just like all the marks do nowadays. Oh, all right, brother, you shoot me off, I'll give you the Iggy and this, that, and the other thing, and they're going over their match. The fans don't need to fucking see that. First of all, they shouldn't be going over their match. They should be smart enough to just be able to get in the ring and fucking work. You go over a couple of spots, and that's it. You don't need to go over a fucking 10-minute match and spend a half hour going over it. If it takes you more than 2 minutes to go over a 10-minute match, then you don't know what the fuck you're doing. But
yeah, see, with that crap is my way of thinking, I guess, is a little bit old school, as in like my brain doesn't work that way, man. I couldn't sit in the back and call a 10-minute match and go over the whole thing. I would forget half of my damn shit that I'm going over. Like I've always operate. I feel like I'm gonna feel like I'm giving way too much of how I work, but it is what it is. I'll peel back that curtain. I've always liked to have an idea of how the first spot will go and how the ending will go. What's the finish? Okay, cool. And then get in the ring and kind of call shit on the fly of how you're going to get there, kind of deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, pretty much. Call my shit in the ring. Call your shit in the ring. We'll take it from there. Because I know for a fact I couldn't sit in the locker room, and pre-plan a 10-minute match and run the whole thing 100 times in a row. I would forget that shit.
100%. And I'll tell you, like, you remember the match you got knocked out in, the tag team match. You remember we're sitting in the dressing room, and Morrison's there, and Morrison don't care about nothing. Morrison's just going with the flow, and then his partner Vince Lewis is sitting there going, well, brother, let's do this. We'll shoot off the ropes. We'll do a double dive. And like, you're just looking at me and I can see the worry in your face. You're like, I can read your eyes. You're like, I can't remember all of this. And I just spoke up and I just said, yeah, Vince. And he's like, yeah, brother. And I'm like, so I'm not trying to be an asshole, but like, we're not going to do any of that. And then Morrison just pops. He goes, ah, ha, ha. And then I said, if you want to dive, we'll do one dive. I said, this is where we'll do it. And I said, and other than that, we're going to get in the ring and work because that's what we do. I'm like, everybody good with that? Okay, good. That's what we're going to do. And you were like, oh man, yeah, thank you. I didn't think we were going to be able to remember all that. And I'm like, we weren't going to be able to remember.
Yeah,
all
like,
that.
But that's just, like I said, I'm not knocking people. If that's how people, if that's how you work, that's how you work. I'm just saying for how I work, I don't work that way, and I can't work that way. I'm not working how I work because whatever. I'm working how I work because that's how I work, and I know that that's how it's going to be. I physically am not smart enough or capable enough to pre-plan a 10-minute match in the back and rehearse that thing 100 times and then go out. I would forget my shit. I always feel like my formula or how I did it works for me, and I just call it in the ring, and it either works or it works. But I also know that I'm a little old school in that aspect of shit for doing this for almost 20 years. Some people like to do the, whatever, and it is what it is. I'm
now in the case of that match, you got knocked out in the first 2 minutes, so none of it mattered.
Yeah.
And see, it's funny because bringing that up, that's an interesting topic. So all the fans want to talk about what's real. Oh, you can tell when a guy is really out and this, that, and the other. When you got knocked out, nobody knew shit until I went over there, because I'm sitting there thinking, you're supposed to come over here and you're supposed to tag me in to clean house. And I'm like, I'm starting at that point to go, something's off. So I went in the ring, I jumped in. Adam tried to push me back. I fought past him, threw Vince out of the way, knocked him down, and then I tried to pick you up and drag you to the corner to make the tag, and you were completely dead weight. And I said, oh, well, he's fucking out. And so it's funny, if I were to watch the footage back, I probably was less careful with you than I should have been. I helped you roll out of the ring, and you did roll out of the ring, but you kind of like hit the floor. I probably should have been more aware that, like, yeah, he might not be under his own power, so he might not be able to get out of the ring safely. But I tried. I rolled you out, and then I looked at Morrison, and I said, fucking roll me up. I said, roll me up. He's like, huh? I said, he's fucking knocked out. Roll me up. So I dove at him. I threw a clothesline. He ducked. He rolled me up, and we came up with a quick finish because you were hurt. But like, nobody knew you were out. Adam didn't know you were out. Vince didn't know you were out. I didn't know you were out until I tried to pick. I knew something was up, but I figured somebody just forgot their spot or something like that. And then, like I said, I tried to pick you up, and you were dead weight. And I'm like, nope. And and that was it. But like, so it's not really, and like we were talking about before, the referee in that situation, just looking on. In the moment, you think and it's easy as an onlooker to sit there and watch the video and go, well, clearly he's out. But when you're standing over a guy or when you're looking at a guy, the boys didn't jump in for 10 seconds. It took 10 seconds for that one Mellow guy or whatever his name is to intervene. Why? Because that's how long it took the human brain to process that something was really wrong. Yeah. But like it takes probably 2 or 3 seconds and you go, shouldn't he be defending himself? Then it takes about another 2 or 3 seconds and you go, no, I think he's out. And then it takes about another 2 seconds to go, oh, he's out and Raja ain't stopping. And then finally, after your brain processes all those things, you jump in and you make the save or whatever. So let's say that Raja, the dude's clearly a hothead. That much is probably clear. Maybe he has some developmental issues. Maybe he's just not the sharpest knife in the drawer. Maybe he just isn't all that bright. And now he should realize that the guy is out, but it takes him 3 or 4 punches to realize the guy is out. And he thinks to himself, man, I think this nigga's out. Well, maybe he ain't. He should put his hands up if he ain't. And then he throws a few more punches and he goes, nope, he's definitely out. Maybe I should stop. Nah, fuck that. They said they would make the save. They know when he's had enough. They're his boys. They know when he's had enough. And then the next thing you know, you've hit the guy 12 times and they're finally pulling you off. I can just see the world where that is the way things happen. That's how it goes down in the real world. Your brain doesn't process just go.
Yeah, like I said, when you're in the heat of the moment of something like that, especially for someone coming from the MMA world, he's got to be thinking, all right, the referee's going to jump in and whatever. He's not going to know if the referee's properly trained or the proper whatever situation of it is. He's used to handling referees how they come from the MMA world. He's used to that shit. But yeah, but we'll dial it back for a second. When I got knocked out, though, I had no recollection of how I even got to the floor. I just remember waking up, being surrounded by people, and someone poured water on me. I don't know how that happened. I just remember waking up and people are surrounding me, telling me I needed to go to the hospital and everything else, man. And then in the back, Jay was checking me out, saying I got a concussion and all this other stuff like that. And my main concern, I'm not no tough guy, not no whatever. It's like, I'm not going to go to no hospital, you know what I'm saying? And whatever, unless I fully, I guess, feel like I need to. My concern was I wanted a damn beer. I wanted to get paid and I wanted to get home and I wanted to eat some food. That was my concerns. Right. I just wanted to get out of there. And I just remember feeling hot. I just remember in the locker room, like everybody kept coming up to me and I just remember like my whole body was like on fire and I'm just burning up. Like you ever been like when you're outside or you just get like super hot, like and whatever, and you just get agitated. I was getting agitated. I'm like, I just want something to drink. I want something to eat. I'm gonna get my money. I'm gonna leave. Like, that's how I remember that situation. But yeah, I don't remember how I got out of the ring. I don't fault you for handling it how you handled it. It's one of those things. The match goes on, and if you don't know someone's fully out, you don't know they're out. You don't know the situation. You know what I'm saying? Your brain processes shit. I hope he's okay, but I got a match I got to finish, man.
you were out, but by the time I was with you, you were not laying on the ground unconscious. Like you were not with it, but you were moving. Like you were moving your head. You were dead weight, but like there was life in you. And I thought to myself, okay, well, he's got to get out of the middle of the ring. He can't be over here. So I rolled you to the apron. I did roll you out feet first. So like your feet touched first, but then you pretty much crumbled, and I was like, oh, okay. Well, I did what I did the best I could on that one. Now, the funny thing about concussions is like that's probably the only, and I'm surprised to hear it. Nah, you've probably had concussions because you did a lot of dumb shit as a kid, taking fucking pipes to the head with a bucket on your head and all kinds of dumb jackass shit. But
that, and then and then just in wrestling, back when young and dumb, and you just man, Foley was taking chair shots to the head. Sabu's taking chair shots to the head. Let's do it. Like you have that mentality of like that's how they're doing it. That's how I got to do it.
And the thing about it is like concussions never really worried me because I used to get concussions as a kid all the time because we would fucking roughhouse and we would climb trees. And I'm sure you did all that too. But in my case, I've fallen out of trees and landed on my head. I mean, I remember one time as a kid, I was playing on my swing set, as like an 8 or 9 year old kid after a heavy rain, and the swing set was all wet. And I go to jump down from the monkey bars or whatever. And I just slipped completely upside down, got dumped completely on my head and went blind for like 30 seconds. Like the whole world was dark. I have been concussed in my whole life. I know of at least a dozen times and probably a dozen more where I was really concussed and just didn't realize it or whatever. So like concussions never phased me. Like I've been knocked out and it's like, okay, cool. We're back. How long was that? Okay. I'm still in the ring. Okay. That means we're still going. Time to get up. So concussions didn't frighten me in that way, but it's funny, like in the deal where you got knocked out, I've watched that match in the years afterward and it wasn't good, but like, I'm not real sure how you got knocked out. It didn't look like he kicked you that hard. So I don't know if it just hit you right on the button, just right.
It must have
or what it was, but
I don't even know. It just hit me.
Yeah, it got you. Clearly it got you, but and that's not even really his fault. I mean, maybe he's, he wasn't maybe the best worker, or, maybe he was obviously a little stiff on that, but it's not like he was careless, so
no, but I think
was what it was.
But he also, someone was also supposed to catch that foot. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't, the manager was supposed to pull his foot or something like that, to where he wasn't even supposed to like whatever. And the manager, didn't get there in time or whatever the situation is. So he was just swinging, expecting, the manager to step in front or pull or stop it or whatever the situation was. And just
that's an interesting comment, because is that so much different than like the Raja situation? If Raja was expecting something and it didn't happen, then and somebody got hurt, like in your case, if Vince was if that kick was supposed to be blocked by a manager or something, and the manager wasn't there, and the consequence was that you got knocked out, then I mean, it's a fuck up. But whose fault is it really? It's just a fuck up.
Yeah, no, that's how I always handled it. Is I never blamed Vince or Gene Beard for it or anything like that. It's just he was managing us that night. But yeah, he was supposed to catch Vince's foot, and he didn't, and I got knocked out. It's one of those things where it's wrestling business, man. It's life. Shit happens. I don't fault him for it. It's wrestling, man. Ballet. It's not ballet. You know what I'm saying? I expect to get hit and knocked around and everything that comes with it. So.
And that's the thing. And I guess that kind of wraps up the whole, I mean, I guess we could continue rambling on the Raja thing, but I really don't know what.
No, I don't think there's really anything else.
I guess one of the things I guess one of the things that we can touch on briefly is there's a lot of people that are calling for legal action. And there's a lot of people that are very surprised he hasn't already been arrested. And to that, I kind of bring up my previous points. It's kind of hard to be able to arrest the guy when you have it on tape that he is being told that he can get in there and lay into the guy. He is being told that he will be pulled off, and everybody's in agreement. Everybody shakes hands on it. So it's like, okay, maybe there are charges that could be filed in some regard, but even then, now you have to prove how much of it was a work and how much of it was him, quote unquote, and I hate this term, going off script.
Yeah.
You have to prove all of that, before you can even file an arrest warrant.
And on top of that, you got to look into it's trying to explain wrestling lingo and how the business works to people on the outside doesn't always go, you know, the way it should go. Some people either get it or they don't understand it. It's like speaking a foreign language to someone and trying to explain shit. Hey, this is how it's supposed to happen, but it didn't happen. Work like this. It gets way too confusing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So trying to explain that to the police or trying to explain that to a jury or like whatever, you know. And then you also have people who will always have the mentality of, man, everything in wrestling is fake. Everything's part of the show. Everything's part of whatever. So what, you know, angle can you really go? You know,
it's really hard to file charges against a guy when it could be a work.
To where, you know, and the thing is I don't know. I'm not one of those to where I'm blaming Raja for the whole thing. I blame, if you're gonna blame one person, I feel like you got to blame everybody in the situation. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree.
Like, I agree that it was in my opinion, I think it was a work that gone way wrong, and whatever the situation is, that things could have been explained better, things could have been taken care of better. There could have been a lot more things to be done or about the situation. But you know it, I know it. How wrestlers think is sometimes you'll do dumb shit to get a reaction from the crowd. You'll think of something. Hey man, this is how, you know, I'm gonna pop the boys in the back, or this is gonna get a reaction out of the crowd, or man, we got a hot angle here. Let's do this. Let's build on something. And once you get people on board and you get whatever, logic isn't on your state of mind. It's
logic goes out the window.
Logic goes out the window. Let's get to the situation where we can do this, and we do it, and then shit either goes one way or shit goes another way, and then you come out with how it handles. I mean, so I don't blame her. I don't, you know, I think everybody in the situation is to blame. You know what I'm saying? You know, and you know, it would be different. I believe in my brain is if Stu didn't know what was going on, and then Raja just jumps in the ring and he attacks him, and then, you know, knocks him out, whatever, you know,
that would be different.
That would be different. You know, but like I said, I mean, I feel everybody is to blame in this situation to some sort of degree. And it's one of those things to where if Stu is able to talk, or Stu is able to elaborate on the situation, you know, that would help things come to light too, you know. And if he is of state of mind and everything else, and he feels charges need to be pressed or whatever situation is, then why wouldn't they be? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like he's in this, but he's also right now he's if he's in the right state of mind right now, whatever that, this shit is blown up so much right now that even us, we're talking about it. He's got all this money coming in. He's got all this other stuff coming in. How do you handle that situation as a logical person? How do you just handle this all of a sudden? You know, you're famous off the situation and you got all this money about it. And how do you rightfully handle a situation of any answer that you say is going to be 100% criticized by everybody, you know, that is the outside eyes looking in. And then as being a wrestler or whatever, you got, you know, wrestlers that you've been in the locker rooms with are judged on whatever aspect too. It's only one of those things to where there's no
the show is getting shut down because of you.
You know, everything. I mean, and it's one of those things to where no matter what you say, you can say, if he comes out and says that, hey, this whole thing was a work, this whole thing was whatever, he's getting shit. Okay. If he's
a con man, he stole people's GoFundMe money.
If that's the situation, or two, you know, if he comes out and wants to press charges and wants to come out and do whatever, he's getting crucified. I think he'd be crucified for that by a lot of people too. It's one of those things to where there is no right situation way how he can handle it. He's going to be judged. He's going to be criticized by people for any way, shape, or form that he handles this. And maybe that's why he's just not saying anything too, is, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But maybe if you just don't say anything at all, in a week or so, all this thing will leave people's minds because there'll be some other crazy shit going on, and that's it.
And
It's like
I'll bet
I don't know, man. It's a real touchy, messy situation. You know what I'm saying?
I'll talk on that for a second because we started to, and we got away from it somehow. But because I started talking about how Stu's a shit show wrestler. I think that's what got me away from it. But what I started to say at that time was, even though he's a shit show wrestler, if he's a worker at all, like if he is a worker at heart, then he probably realizes one very important thing. First things first, in the hospital, it looks like he's going to be okay. I'm sure he has a concussion from the slam, but like we were talking about, his face ain't fucked up, his eyes aren't black, and his nose ain't broke. Might he have a cracked jaw and some missing teeth? Maybe so. But I don't care what anybody says. He didn't fucking flatline in the ring. That's just slang. That was just them. It wasn't literal. He didn't literally flatline. They're saying he was choking to death on his teeth and blood. You've seen people bleed, brother. You've seen me bleed. That wasn't fucking blood. I mean, he bled a little. I'm not saying he didn't bleed, but like, I have gigged my head to the goddamn bone. He bled a little. And maybe he had a couple teeth knocked out. I don't know. But I'm getting distracted again. I'm gonna try to get back to my point. My point is, I think he's going to be all right. I think he's going to be just fine. He'll probably leave the hospital in a matter of days, and they're probably checking him just to make sure he doesn't have concussion issues more than anything. Yeah, because he took a good wang to the head. So if he's a worker, he might be the only one who's actually smart enough to shut. Even though he's a shit worker, he might be the only one smart enough to keep his mouth shut. Because here's the bottom line. I guarantee you, if he is a real worker, he probably realizes that he is at fault for a lot of this. Whether he's going to admit it publicly or not, he probably says, you know what, if I hadn't fucked around, man, none of this would have happened. But at the same time, he's also going to be thinking, but this has given me my 15 minutes of fame. Let's be honest here, he has probably already received phone calls from like Tony Khan's people that have said, hey, man, we saw the news. We're just wishing you the best. We wish you good luck, and maybe we can work together when all this thing is resolved. Even though he's the shits, he's got his 15 minutes of fame. He's going to get bookings from this. He's going to get opportunities from this. I don't know what the current count is at, but he has already made over $200,000 from GoFundMe. Mr. Beast is involved. Jericho is involved. Fucking Dolph Ziggler is involved. All of these people are donating to him. Everybody in the country knows his name. And all he's got to do is keep his fucking mouth shut and let this thing play out. I promise you, Rampage Jackson has a check waiting on a table somewhere for Stu to sign, to decide what he wants to do, for him to sign. How big is that check? I don't know. I don't know what Rampage is worth anymore.
Yeah, I have no idea. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him a check and he signs the non-disclosure agreement and won't, continue to bash, he won't, bash Raja. He won't do whatever, and then I could see, AEW maybe bringing him in as far as sitting in the crowd or something like that and showing him off. And go, hey, I don't think WWE or AEW would let him come in and work on a match or anything like that. I don't.
Well, here's the only thing I'll say about that. Here's the only thing I'll say. I don't think WWE would, but in a world where there is a fucking guy on TV named Mr. Iguana, and in a world where there is a Danhausen, there can absolutely be a Psycho Stu on TV. So that's all I can say to that. But with that, like you said, I think and again, I don't know what Rampage Jackson is worth anymore, but I bet he's worth a few million. I bet he at least is willing to cut a check for $200,000 or $300,000.
I mean, I could definitely see that.
Let's say that Stu's going to come out of this $500,000 richer, and all he has to do is come out after this is all. When the police come and talk to him, all he's got to do is just say, "Hey guys, this is just a stunt gone wrong. It ain't really Raja's fault. I think he got a little bit overzealous and he was a little overhyped, but we knew he was coming. I knew he was throwing punches. I got knocked out and the guys were supposed to pull him off sooner, and I'll be okay and everything's all right." And this is probably why the cops have not been involved yet, why there has been no arrest, because most likely If Stu is a worker, if he is smart, he doesn't care. Like all the fans are like, Stu needs to get justice. He needs to get this thug in jail. If he's a worker, he don't give a fuck about that. He don't give a fuck. He wants to get paid. And Stu's sitting in hospital going, okay, Rampage is cutting me a $200,000 check. My GoFundMe is at $300,000 and counting. Maybe I could become a millionaire off all this. Jimmy Kimmel called me last week, and I'm going to be on the Jimmy Kimmel. I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen, but you get my point.
Yeah.
This thing's fucking blowing up.
You know?
This motherfucking shit show wrestler might end up a millionaire off of this. It is the best thing that ever happened to him in his life. I posted this on Facebook, and I wasn't fucking around. If Raja wants to get out his aggression and he wants to really beat the shit out of a wrestler, he can come to my house and I will let him put on a pair of boots and he can kick me in the fucking face 20 times and I'll fucking take it for that $1 million check. And if I get brain damage or if he actually fucks me up, then guess what? So be it. My family's set for life. So fuck it. You know what I mean? I'll take it. I'm a worker. I'm a carny. I'll let him kick my ass. So like I said, Stu's doing all right. And
yeah. I mean,
this is the part that
we'll just see how this whole situation ends up. I mean, there'll probably be more information or so about it in a week or so. So it's really just interesting to see how it'll turn out.
And to bring it around full circle, and this is kind of my last comment on the legal part of it. The part that pisses me off is that it allowed the fans to have an opinion. And now the fans, Raja might actually get arrested simply because so many fans are calling for it. And the way America works nowadays, it's mob rule. If enough people want somebody, even if it's not right, like even if it was an agreement, even if Stu doesn't want to press charges, they might arrest him anyway, just because there's so much popular opinion for it. And that's my problem. This should not be policed by the fans. AJ Mana should not be getting fired from his shoot job because he said some words to the guy. Like, this should be completely handled within the wrestling business. Let the wrestling business police this. And if Stu wants to press charges, then let him press charges. But if he'd rather just keep his mouth shut and accept a check from Rampage Jackson, then the fans shouldn't give a fuck. Let Stu decide what his ass whipping was worth. And if Stu says, hey, my ass whipping was worth $300,000, then let him get it. And let the fans just back off. They got no business to get involved. Let them shut the fuck up. They don't matter.
Somewhat related to this whole thing, though, I did see, I think this morning, another independent wrestling company is claiming the Raja guy is coming to their thing.
I saw that, and then I saw people saying that it's a fake promotion. It's not even, I don't know.
Okay,
I can't really comment on that. I don't really know.
I don't fully follow, all the stuff that goes on with this whole situation. But yeah, man, I just wanted to get you on this, get your opinion and shit on this thing. So
I think we talked it out, man. I mean, all of the 5 people that are probably listening, it's whatever. No one's going to be really, there's not enough people probably listening to really be educated, but I think between you and I, it's a good take. I mean, I think it's as good as Stevie Rickers, the Bradshaws, or Rob Van Dams. I think this is a very realistic way to look at this, given what was said, what was done, what people thought, whatever. And if it turned, and I put my hand up in the air. I'm open to being wrong if more evidence comes out. Like if we find out more and it turns out that, it was all a work, like a real work, like a work, and they got everybody. Awesome for the business, And if it turns out that like Raja actually wanted to kill him, like he takes a lie detector test or something and he, he fails and he actually tried to kill the motherfucker. Well, I guess whatever. But until then, it just is what it is. It was an unfortunate situation that should have never happened, but It did. And, for the sake of Stu, it looks like he's going to be okay. He might need some dental work. And guess what? I'm sure Rampage will pay for that. I'm sure his medical bills will be paid for, and he's going to get a nice fat check for his trouble. So if Stu's good with it, nobody else should give a shit.
No, I fully agree. But like I said, we can always see how this thing plays out, and if things play out differently or some craziness goes involved, we can always hop back on this old thing and discuss that too. So
I got no life. I'm here.
So, but yeah, man, I just wanted to thank you for coming on and giving your opinion and all that fun stuff, and we'll get ready to wrap this up, man. We're almost an hour and 40
I think it was
minutes
about
in.
an hour.
So,
Yeah, it was about an hour and a half last time I looked. So,
yeah.
all right, brother. Well, we wrapped it up. We're good. So,
Yeah. But if whoever's listening to this, thank you for following us on this journey. And whether you agree with Mr. Yago's comments or not, or agree with my comments or not, it is what it is. Just
and if you don't,
if you
because you're a mark.
if you like the channel, whatever that, feel free to like and subscribe. If not, hey, whatever. But thank you, brother. I will be in touch, and thank you for watching this show. Whoever's watched it, and that is all. I'm
All
out,
right, brother.
guys.
Love you.
Man, much love you, man.